Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Welcome back to a Division 2 video. Today we're gonna shred through some rogue agents while utilizing the new Catalyst mask. Yes, the mask has been fixed. This is the new exotic mask that's been introduced with Battle for Brooklyn, and we can gain an extra 24% weapon damage and status effects. With the combination of this build, this all comes together. The synergy is perfect and you can use whatever gun on this. And no, this build doesn't utilize Striker, and like you see, I'm not using the blue screen, I'm not using the Iron Lung. You can use them on those builds, but I think that this is the perfect synergy for the mask, and of course doing then still some decent damage, up to 1.3 million a crit shot, while not running around with any expertise. So yes, all of the gameplay that you see right now is without any expertise on the weapon that I'm using, so you can only hit harder, probably getting up to that 1.5 million a crit shot. This is a fun build and you can get your damage out pretty quickly, as there is almost no stacking required in this build. The only stacking required in this build is throughout the mask to get up to that 24% extra weapon damage and status effects, so you instantly have your damage. We don't have to worry about stacking like we do with Striker or with Heartbreaker. This damage is instantly there, what will be boosted by your mask. So without further ado, let's dive right into the build, and I'm gonna do it a little bit different as we have a lot of new and returning players, but a lot of people that are still playing the game for years now, same as me. I'm gonna showcase the build instantly for you at the start of this build video, flying through everything that you need on this build, and afterwards we're gonna break it down. So if you're a new and returning player, I would recommend you to stick around. If you just want to know about the build, here it is. Let's break it down. Specialization, Gunner. Weapon, MG5. Critical hit chance as the attribute and Sadis as the talent. Of course, running around with the Catalyst mask. Backpack of Cheska with everything critical hit chance, critical hit damage mod on there, and then for Wicked as the talent. 4 pieces of ongoing directive, especially for our chest piece, boosting our amplification damage to that extra 50%, and everything on OD will be rolled towards critical hit damages as the attributes on the gear. That's pretty much it. You want to go for some status effects, you can go for the Banshee pulse. I like to utilize the foam them, beam them down, bleed bullets in your mag, and you are good to go. And that's pretty much the quick breakdown of everything. So let's jump over to our specialization and break down the build a little bit more. For that extra 10% armor on kill and that 50% reload faster on every third reload comes in clutch as well, especially because we are utilizing LMGs. Yes, we are running around with the Infantry MG5, and as you can see, it's a replica. So yes, that means that you can just craft it. You don't even have to farm for it. You can go to your crafting bench and craft it. This has 120k damage on this build with an RPM of 800, a mag of 100, and a headshot damage of 85% with an optimal range of 35. We went for the core attributes, LMG damage, damage your target out of cover, as those are the core, and we chose to go for critical hit chance. On LMGs, it's 99 of the 100 times the best way to go, critical hit chance as your third attribute. And then, of course, we are utilizing the talent Sadist. Amplify weapon damage by 30% to bleeding enemies. After 4 kills, applies bleed to your next enemy that you hit. And you can probably already guess what we will be running around with. We will be choosing to add an extra 15% crit chance to the mods and the 50 extra rounds, what we will also get throughout our specialization, the Gunner. For your secondary gun, you can choose whatever you like, but we choose to go for the Grudge. The Grudge is the named SMG, And we, of course, went for damage to target out of cover because everything else next to an LMG, damage to target out of cover as your third attribute, is the way to go. And why the Grudge? Because this comes with Perfect Vindictive. Killing an enemy with a status effect applied grants you and all allies within 20 meters 21% critical hit chance and 21% critical hit damage for 20 seconds. We chose to go for some extra critical hit damages on this, a little extra critical hit chance, and of course the extra rounds as the mods on the gun. But you can go for whatever you like. If you don't like to switch away from your MG5, then you can go for a gun and a pistol that you don't have proficient yet. This will help you and save you a lot of duplicates and or materials and time to donate. Then let's jump over to the overview of the build. And yes, we are using ongoing directive. We will be on an OD build. And why OD? Because this will give us some extra 15% status effects, 30% reload speed that comes in clutch on LMGs, and of course we're doing it for the 4-piece rules of engagement. Shooting a status affected enemy will apply a mark. Killing a marked enemy grants you a full clip of hollow point ammo for your active weapon and half of the clip of the agent's active weapon to the rest of the party, and mark lasts for 10 seconds. Hollow point ammo amplifies your weapon damage by 20% and applies a bleed on hit. Because we're running around with our chest piece, we will be boosting that amplification to 50%, but this bonus doesn't apply to our party members. So this extra amplification of 30% will only count for us. And this is how we can keep our mask alive. Because the only thing we have to do is foam somebody, take him out. We will have bleed bullets for days. Every single time that you take somebody out and it doesn't take 100 bullets, you will get a full clip of hollow point ammo again. This ammo will be non-stop in your gun, and you don't even have to worry about foaming somebody or applying a status effect on somebody to activate this, as this will always be a part of your weapon now. This is a great thing on then, of course, buffing our Catalyst mask. The Catalyst, what does this new exotic do for us? It comes with weapon damage, hazard protection, status effects, and then of course a mod slot. What we choose to go for critical hit damage. But it's all about the talent, as the talent has 3 different stages. The first stage, dealing and receiving status effects, burn, bleed, shock, EMP, disrupt, poison, and blind and or disorient, builds the stack to a maximum of 12. Each stack grants 2% weapon damage and 2% status effects, boosting us up to that 24% extra weapon damage and extra status effects. Each enemy within 25 meters that is affected by the status effects grants +1 stack per second. Being affected by a status effect grants 2 stacks per second, and stacks decay at 1 stack a second after 5 seconds if no enemies are in the radius or you are affected by a status effect. And this gives us a bunch of extra weapon damage. What we're doing it for, the status effect will help us out as well, as the statuses will be applied a little bit longer to an enemy, giving us a little bit easier stacks or keeping our Catalyst mask alive. Then we have 2 more additions to this talent, and that is Reactant. At max stacks, killing a status affected enemy grants a bonus for 5 seconds of 25% bonus armor and 20% reload speed, giving us an extra reload speed when we're hitting that bonus armor by just taking out people on our max stacks. We will be on max stacks quite quickly and a lot, so every single time you take somebody out, you will get that extra bonus armor, that extra reload speed. If you see that little blue bar popping up on your screen, hit that reload, because we know we're running around with an LMG, and you can get that reload up to 1.2 seconds. With 100 bullet, it is wild what this second part of the talent can do for us. And then the third part, Stabilizer. While burning, you can maintain the ADS without disruption. And this is a great thing as well, especially within Brooklyn. There is a lot of fire around. When you catch fire, of course, this will still hurt you as long as we don't stack into hazard protections, but you can still ADS, and that is the most annoying thing about being on fire. Just like our enemies, if we set them on fire, they're trying to put themselves out. It's kind of the same that we are doing. If we catch on fire without this mask, we can't do shit. We can only fire our gun from our hip. But with Stabilizer, this will give us the opportunity, when catching on fire, still ADSing in and hitting people. While we're on fire, we're building up those stacks of the catalyst as well, giving us some extra damages and status effects. It is a great mask, but I also want to touch on the Coyote's mask a little bit later on, but let's go over the rest of the build. And that is of course our last piece, the backpack. We chose to go for Cheska, and this gives us an extra critical hit chance and critical hit damage rolled on there with another critical hit damage mod, and we went for Wicked. Applying a status effect increased total weapon damage by 18% for 20 seconds. So every time that we apply a status effect, we instantly have that 18% extra damage. Because our weapon is always filled up with bleed bullets after our first kill on the status effect enemy, we will always have that 18% weapon damage. You can also go for Vigilance. This will give you more damage output, of course, but the moment that you get hit, you of course lose that 25% for 4 seconds, and this is just a safer way to go. And this whole setup of the build with OD, it's so much free damage. Almost everything is instantly and constantly there for you to utilize, except of course for the stacks that we need to do with our catalyst mask. For the skills, it doesn't really matter what you use, whatever you like to utilize. I like to run around with a Revive Hive, and then I like to foam people. And why? Because our first part of our synergy of the build. We need to take out somebody that is status affected, and then we will get our bleed bullets. So I run up to a group of enemies, I foam them, I beam one of them down, I get my bleed bullets, I spray over the group a little bit, and then choose one of the enemies to shoot down. And why do I spray over people? Because of our mask is needing to have some stacks. We need a stacks of 12. When we apply a status effect ourselves, we only get 1 stack per second per enemy. So the moment that we only have one enemy in front of us, he is bleeding, he needs 12 seconds to activate our catalyst mask to the full potential then, of course. The moment that you foam somebody, take one of the group out, get your bleed bullets, and then spray over that group, that 4 or for example 5 people have that bleed on them, it will only take 2 to 3 seconds until you are fully stacked. Then choose one of your enemies to beam down, and then whatever you want to do, go for it. That's how you kind of want to start your battle. You want to run in, you want to foam somebody, or preferably you want to foam a group. You're gonna take one of the group out, you get your bleed bullets, you spray over the group, getting as much people on the bleed status as possible, and then single out your target. You can't really walk up to somebody, especially to get this catalyst starting, and then just beam them down one by one. It's better to spread that bleed around, make sure that you are in a 25-meter range of that enemy to get that catalyst to stack up quickly. If you spread the bleed around, then just mark one enemy and beam everybody down. The moment that your mask is in max stacks, you will stay there as long as you keep in a fight, as we will always be applying that status effect throughout our OD combination with Sadist, giving us 80% amplified damage on bleeding enemies, and that's what makes this build come together great. And now to jump over to the stats real quick, we have 54.5% critical hit chance and 141% critical hit damage. This is throughout, of course, our season. What do we have active? We have our global modifier active that will always give us some crit chances depending on which tier we are in firearms. Because we're already at tier 4 of firearms, we're already receiving 6% critical hit chance. The moment that we take out 3 enemies with that red mark above their head, we're gaining another 4%. Getting us to that 85.5% crit chance, what is perfect for this. And of course, we are utilizing the assault link that we can use every 60 seconds for 25 seconds, boosting our damages up a lot. Not really the weapon damage as we're not using a non-red core, but we are freezing our attributes and we are multiplying our passive modifiers. These two are kinda your choice. It is loaded up that does the most for us. 25% of your critical hit chance value is added as critical hit damage while at tier 5 in firearms. And this is around that 50% critical hit damage that you gain instantly when taking out 3 enemies with a red mark above their head, boosting our damage an extra time. This is what we're utilizing for our active and passive modifiers, but this build can also be used without it. And that's pretty much it. This is again the whole overview of the build. We are utilizing ongoing directive, building towards the crit chances and the crit damages. As you can see, everything is crit damage as the attribute and the mod. Same as for our holster, same as for our knee pads. And you already guessed it, same as for our gloves. Everything towards critical hit damages. And then of course the Cheska for that extra critical hit chance and some extra critical hit damages to round it off with the new Catalyst mask, boosting our damages with the MG5, holding that Sadist, giving us a total of 80% amplification damage. So yes, that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comments down below if you're utilizing it this way. Do you like to use a blue screen on there? Do you like to use an iron lung on there? I like it, but overall, this Sadist combination will give us more damage output as we are losing damage versus the Coyote mask. And that's what I wanted to touch on after, of course, the whole overview of the build, as it will almost always be more beneficial to run the Coyote mask within damage. The damage will always be there. We don't have to get it to stack. And the only time on this particular build that the Catalyst out damages the Coyote mask is in between 15 and 25 meters. We could go further than 25 meters, but the problem with the Catalyst mask is that we need to be in 25 meters to make sure that our talent will stay active or stack up. So the Catalyst on this particular build is only stronger than the Coyote mask between 15 and 25 meters. So overall, I love this mask. It's a great addition. It's nice that we're getting some extra status effects. Of course, this doesn't only give us that damage output, it also gives us that reload speed that gets us faster to the point of damage output. It also gives us that extra survivability of 25% bonus armor, and we can also ADS within fire. So it's not only the damage output what the Coyote mask is giving you, but if you're doing it for straight damage, the Coyote will still be the better way to go. I'm not asking to buff this into oblivion, right? Because in my opinion, not every exotic needs to be stronger than all the rest. Because what happens when that happens? Yes, power creep. Everything will get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And a lot of people in the community are already saying that we are too powerful. And now, if we keep bringing out exotics that are stronger and stronger and stronger than the rest, in a couple of months, we will be so incredibly powerful that it's not even fun to play it anymore. Even not on Legendary. So if you would ask me what I would change to the Catalyst, I would probably only remove the meter mark so we have a little bit more room to work with. For example, with this build, we're utilizing an LMG, and I'm not saying that you always have to utilize an LMG with the Catalyst, But when you do it with an LMG, you kind of want to shoot on a little bit more distance. If the enemy then runs out of the 25 meter mark, your talent won't stack up again, or even worse, your stacks will decay. You need to run into the open to make sure that you are within that 25 meters, so you won't lose your damage and or your status effects. I think the 25 meter mark is overall the thing that it holds back the most, because again, it doesn't have to be the strongest mask out there. We don't always have to play with the strongest and the most damage out there. Please play however you like to play. I like utilizing this Catalyst mask. It is great. If I want to go for straight damage, I will go for the Coyote's mask, but this is a fun way to play, and we can still shred through enemies like you saw. Open world rogues, we're shredding through those missions, so there's nothing wrong with this build. Are there other ways to do more damage? Yes, but then we will not be utilizing the Catalyst. And that's pretty much it. A little bit longer video because I wanted to touch on the Catalyst and the Coyote's mask. The Coyote's mask is just straight up free damage. We have to work a little bit more for that Catalyst, but again, it is fun to play with, and I like the addition of the mask to the game. And of course, now I want to hear your opinion about this. I know it took a while for them to fix it. I know some people are still farming for it, as the RNG gods aren't blessing that many people by getting this Catalyst mask. So I would love to know, do you have it already? And what is your preferred setup? We also tested out a bunch of different builds utilizing this Catalyst mask live on stream, especially around the backfire. But the backfire, the moment it hits 100 stacks, it won't apply the bleed on you anymore. I don't know why. Nobody knows why, but that's why the Catalyst is not good with the backfire. Yes, it will help you out from time to time, but when you really need it, when you're shooting that big guy, when you're shooting that last enemy, that named guy, where you need that damage, you won't have that bleed upon yourself because you are on the max stacks, and that won't give you that extra 24% weapon damage and 24% status effects. And this setup is my preferred way, and in my humble opinion, the best way to utilize the Catalyst mask. Thank you so much for sticking until the end. Like the video if you liked the video or helped you out in any way or form. And of course, if you're new here and or you want to be updated by the Division 2, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And I will see you in the next one. Pure Prime out.